Hello. Hi. Hey. Welcome. Welcome, guys. Good evening. I think I have started the stream, probably. Okay. The stream has started. Let me post the link. The link will remain pinned. We're doing a quick workflow today, guys. Like 30 minutes. 30 minutes. 30 minutes max. No more. Just 30 minutes. That's it. That's all. Yeah, we've set the time limit, so we're good to go. Hello, Chica. Welcome. Yes, super secret stream. Not expecting a lot of people to show up because it's definitely super secret. So guys, you probably already saw the title of this stream. We're going to be going through a workflow that I'm doing for a video that I'm trying to release this week. There has literally never have I ever come on stream and said I'm going to release a video this week and the video actually come out. So we're going to actually be doing a workflow. But good evening, everyone. How's everyone doing? I have plans that I can. I'm trying to pull up something. I posted a TikTok that I like. I posted a TikTok that I like. So I'm going to subject you all to it. I'm going to subject you all to my will. Yeah, that's what I'm gonna do. Okay. Let me pull up TikTok because y'all have to see this. I don't feel like y'all are gonna understand at all, but I'm gonna anyway. Yeah, I need to learn how to turn sound off because I don't know. No. But welcome everybody. As I get the TikTok up, I didn't know TikTok have a web page, but they do. So we're gonna look at it. Hello Chica. Hello D Nice. Y'all get to witness this. Hello the other MJ. Welcome. Okay, so we have our regular twerkers here. Good. Now we can watch my TikTok. Hold up. Let's watch a TikTok. Okay. Also, I have a TikTok if y'all didn't know. I don't know what this means, but welcome. Hello. Okay, so my TikTok is degenerate, guys. I don't recommend y'all follow it all. But you can. I can't stop y'all. Y'all are grown. And this is the TikTok. This is the TikTok I really like. Let's watch together. Let me just mute myself.
I'm telling you now. I have plans that I cannot share with you right now because the haters will sabotage me. I have plans that I cannot share with you right now because I'm telling you now. I have plans that I cannot share with you.
I don't feel like anybody gets me sometimes. Do we all understand what's happening in the TikTok? Do we all understand what's happening in the TikTok? Because I feel like we don't all understand. It's fine. Never mind. Don't follow it. It's not what needs to be given. So I wanted to go over a couple of my polls. I haven't posted polls in a while, purposefully because I'm not about to be getting emails from people talking about why you posting so many polls. Is he pimping? Okay, let's watch it one more time. I don't feel like y'all are understanding it, and I would like y'all to understand. So let's watch it one more time, just one more.
I'm telling you now. I have plans that I cannot share with you right now because the haters will sabotage me. I have plans that I cannot share with you right now because I'm telling you now. I have plans that I cannot share with you right now because the haters will sabotage me. I have plans that
Wait, so y'all actually don't understand what's going on? It's not pimping, no. Anywho, I'm not about to do this with y'all today. Pimping. Why would I promote pimping? Is the plan to finish the school? No. So y'all don't do y'all really not understand it? Okay, it's fine. Dr. Umar is low IQ. Not for this video specifically. This is a very high IQ moment. A very high IQ moment. Dr. Umar didn't make this, by the way. I just put Dr. Umar underneath that. Yeah, but it's fine. It's fine. Don't worry about it. My memes are too cultured for y'all taste, and that's fine. Let me go to some of my polls because I need to understand. I asked y'all 8 hours ago. A random person comes to your door and says, "This is my childhood home. Can I come in and check it out?" What do you say? 52% of people said no, definitely not. Okay, no surprise there. 45% of people said depends, and I need to know what it depends on. And 3% of people said yes, of course. And I'm not upset. I just have questions. I just have questions. He need the money, but why the leggings? What's scrolling above his head? I need y'all to y'all have an assignment today. Before y'all are allowed to follow me on TikTok, y'all need to watch Axel in Harlem. At least one Axel in Harlem meme. Watch one anime meme. Just one is fine. But I need to know why. I need to know why. Let's just get past that. Let's just get past these. Wait, let me take this off the screen. I'm actually really embarrassed about the memes I post. I'm actually like really embarrassed. Because there ain't no way y'all should be on my community tab while I'm acting how I act. I also need y'all to explain to me what was going on in the Discord yesterday, because what are y'all fighting about? I have no clue. I'm not gonna read it. That don't make sense to me. This is why we're making a new Discord. This is why the Discord closed now, and we have to rebuke it in the name of Jesus. And make a new Discord. I'm in the process. I am in the process. Okay. So guys, I have an issue with the LGTB community. Let's just hop straight into that. Because I have been made, something has been made. Well, my computer freezing. The internet is not interneting today. Something has been made evident to me today. Welcome, Mara. But apparently the LGBT TV community seem to think that giving the homie a little bit of head is a gay, and I don't understand that. I actually don't understand that. So let's watch a little bit, because apparently there. Okay, so it's a Why can't I find this man? I think they're making. No, go back. Now they're putting Themis on my screen. Look, this is a secret screen. Welcome. No, I don't give my homies head for obvious reasons. It's important to understand that doing something like that isn't necessarily gay. So that's kind of where my qualm with the LGTB community comes from, because they're saying that it's gay, and I don't understand that at all. Yeah, I can't find it at all. It was just in my feed like all yesterday. Did they delete his channel? That's so weird to me. Oh, I found it. Okay, let me put him on screen. We don't beef. So I'm gonna private the stream after it's over. But this guy's been in my feed for like the past week or two, and he has some really interesting perspectives. Some really interesting perspectives. When I say interesting, that word means what it means. He has some really thought-provoking videos, such as leaving the left and my concerns with the LGBTQ community. So we could watch one of these. I just watched Leaving the Left because I watched someone cover his video, and I always think it's important to watch the original video if I'm watching wait, no, hold up. Forget him, because didn't Jubilee just do something? Yep, forget that. Let's get controversial, actually, guys. Jubilee just did a video on it was should minors transition, detransition, trans people versus people who detransition. And I actually
Raise your
liked the video and wanted to do a kind of a review and thoughts. Samsung and LGTB. Yeah, welcome Afro Butterfly. Welcome to the secret stream. Unfortunately, you missed Dr. Umar, so you'll have to go back if the video isn't privated after this. But they're doing a video on whether or not minors should transition. I thought we could go through that together, and I'm definitely not keeping that type of review public for obvious reasons. I don't want to invoke the LGTB community. I should probably change the title, but yeah, let's see what they have to say. Actually,
raise your hand if you feel attacked by the opposite side.
Jubilee so extra. Hold up.
Related treatment. Step forward if you agree with the prompt. Gender-related treatment should be banned for minors.
Okay, so the format I would like is I would like to answer the questions, and then I want to see how they answer the questions. And the question is, should gender-related treatment, whether or not you agree with the statement, gender-related treatment should be banned for minors. Of course, I disagree. Gender-related treatment, I'm thinking about three different things. I'm thinking about the more affirmative type of thing where you're referring to your child by, I guess, a preferred pronoun or something like that. Then I'm thinking about hormone-based stuff like puberty blockers and hormone therapy. And then I'm thinking about surgery. I, of course, think all of these things should be up to the individual, the parent, and a medical professional to decide altogether. So I, of course, disagree with that statement. How old is a minor? I think under 18. Let me check. Let me Google. A person under the age of full legal responsibility. So I'm going to assume either under 18 or under 21, probably under 18.
I repeat, gender-related treatment should be banned for minors.
Medical transition is no place for a child. I transition as an adult, and I have medical complications. I have mental health issues. Child cannot consent to a medical transition because kids want to eat ice cream every day. It doesn't mean that they should.
I kind of agree with you on that as well, because we have so many rules and regulations.
I dislike the comparison to ice cream just because hello, Purple Lover, welcome. Nice to see you too. Just because when I'm thinking about gender-related treatment, I'm thinking about it from a medical perspective. And I don't know that there's like any medical perspective that has a necessity for a child to eat ice cream, for example. So I would like to come at these conversations from a medical perspective generally.
When it comes to tobacco or alcohol or any type of drugs, driving a car, you can't even rent a motel until you're like 25. There's some specific things that we need to put into place that I think would help protect our children, because the minors themselves really don't know who they are until they become 25, 26 years old. Their minds aren't fully developed, and it kind of breaks my heart a little bit.
So I did transition as a minor. I was a teenager who had a lot of mental health issues and had been sexually exploited and hated my body. And it ended with me kind of finding spaces where that was twisted into, no, you're just a boy in the wrong body. And it ended with me having my first ever medical intervention being a double mastectomy at 16, before any hormones, before anything else. And because of transitioning at such a young age, in the past 6 months, I have watched my body fall apart and waste away in front of me. I have constant joint pain. I've watched my muscle mass waste away. I've watched my vocal cords hurt. I don't know if I'll ever be able to carry a child. The evidence we have suggests that the best way to figure out if gender dysphoria persists into adulthood is to let them grow up. Because a lot of these kids will grow out of it, and many of them will just grow up and end up being gay or gender nonconforming.
Yep.
So I think a important point is made here. I disagree with what, well, I don't know what they are, she or he. I disagree with what they said, just regarding the best way is to let it pan out. I think what people generally prescribe is puberty blockers. That way you don't have to have something with long-term effects, just because puberty blockers, again, you're blocking puberty. So this is generally going to be when you're underage. It's not like you're going to be on this for 20 years. Correct me if I'm wrong. The link is pinned. Y'all can come up and fight. I'm here to fight today. The stream will be privated, so it is what it is. But yeah, I'm generally leaning towards puberty blockers. And like, let me go back to find they pronouns, because I'm not about to keep saying they. She. So like she says, this is okay. I'm on puberty blockers. Now I can approach this with hopefully some therapy, hopefully some long-term introspection to see what's going on. Am I gay and just feminine presenting? Am I trans? Am I non-binary but don't care about the physical aspect? I think that I actually don't disagree with something like that, maybe doing puberty blockers and then some long-term therapy or introspection before deciding how to proceed, because I think it's a big decision, so something like that is fine. She says that she went through some trauma, and the American healthcare system is what it is, so she did not get the correct help that she needed. She says that the first medical intervention she got was a double mastectomy. I have never heard of anything like that in my life. I don't think that's generalizable. I don't assume that people, minors go to medical professionals and say, hey, I like girls, and then the doctor's like, okay, well, let's just chop them off. You're obviously a boy in the wrong, but I don't think that happens generally, although I don't argue with people's personal experiences, and I disagree with something like that, obviously. So yeah. Also, welcome, LB.
I mean, if we're going to be honest, every major medical organization supports gender affirming care for trans youth. They say it's safe and it's life-saving. And there are numerous studies that back that up.
The study that backs it up for puberty blockers is the Dutch protocol, and the same scientists.
I have 10 studies that I can bring to you.
The same scientists that brought that up have since rolled it back and said it was never supposed to be applied the way it has. The American medical industry, we all know, is money hungry and has gone off the rails.
I do agree that there are definitely.
Again, I would need to see the study that she says has been rolled back. I think most studies are pro-gender affirming care or gender-related treatment. Maybe, again, someone said earlier in the comments, the question is really, really ambiguous. Maybe they should have specified, is this hormone therapy? Is this puberty blockers? Is this surgical alteration? Like, maybe they should have specified that, because it could just be miscommunication.
Some doctors out there that may be taking advantage of trans people, and I'm sorry that you went through this. Truly, I really am sorry. But trans kids are valid, and it's not a decision that they're making.
Right.
It's healthcare.
I want to speak to that real quick. Like, I came out 13 years ago when I was 14, and I knew not that I was trans, but that I was a boy. I had to go through a lengthy process of therapy and seeing an endocrinologist and like go through different tests and exams to make sure that this was real to everyone else involved. Transitioning and being trans was just a process I went through to become who I always knew I was. It wasn't a like decision that I made. It was a life or death thing for me. And if I hadn't gotten on hormones and gotten surgery at 16, I don't know if I would be here.
As a father, I have 4 kids. And so, and also as a trans person, I think that knowing what it looked like for me as a child and that experience of going through all of the turmoil.
I just want to pause and say, I don't know who is what. I don't know who has transitioned from what into what, who has detransitioned. Y'all, some of these people are passing really, really well because I'm confused about what I'm confused about. Just wanted to pause to say that. But yeah.
And all of the trepidation around my gender identity, I would not put my children in that situation. And also, I don't think that surgeries should be allowed for minors. Like when we look at the data and we look at the statistics and we look at the research, the vast majority of these surgeries are happening to adults. They're not minors. So let's start there, right? And then further than that, if we look at puberty blockers are reversible. So when it comes to children, when we talk about puberty blockers, that gives them a shot.
Yeah.
And it gives them autonomy over their bodies. It gives them a space that they can explore their expression. They can explore who they are without surgeries, without all of these other things that could have permanent effects. My kids were
base take, such a base take. Love it. Mwah, chef's kiss.
Were maybe 8 and 10 when I started my transition. And so I talked to them in kid terms. I told my son, I said, look, your mom, dad wants to be a dad because that's how I feel. And
your mom, dad wants to be a wait. Now I'm actually really interested in, I guess, how adults who are transitioning but haven't transitioned yet, how they interact with their kids. Hey, look, your mom, dad's dad now. Cool.
My kids being so young, they understood it. They were like, okay, we're with it, and so.
Wait, that's actually crazy. His kids understood it. I thought that kids don't understand stuff like this, and once you tell them, they actually explode from the inside out. And become trans themselves. Yes, it's true. Once you tell your kids, they become trans too. It's like a contagious thing. Well, this is what the right has told me. It's contagious, and you have to protect your children and stuff like that. So I'm very surprised that he told his children and they didn't explode from the inside. They were just like, cool. And they were like, mom, dad is dad now. So that's really interesting. We're learning new things today.
So as they got older, I would bring them into my world and get them to understand the things that maybe I was going through. But now that they're adults, they understand differences in people, not just trans people, but people in general.
So there is such thing as gender fluid. How do you know that this kid is not going to change their gender expression later on? We really actually don't have studies on children that are taken over long term, like over 10 years, 20 years. You've only been on testosterone 14 years. One of the oldest trans men, Buck Angel, he almost died from testosterone. You're saying right now it saved your life. You may still die from it. You don't know. You're still
happy. Exactly.
I would need to know what they're dying of, because I think osteoporosis, if that's how you pronounce it, is going to be the main concern when it comes to, transitioning and long-term drugs and stuff like that, hormone therapy. It's going to be osteoporosis, and that has to do with your bone density. And severe osteoporosis, I don't think that's any joke. Like, your bones become weak and brittle, but I don't think most people are going to explode. So I'm confused when she says it's life-threatening. I'm confused. The kids implode and become black holes. It's true. It's true. Well, I thought it was, but now they're providing contradicting evidence here. I don't know what to think. Yeah.
You'll die for ideology, and a lot of people have died for an ideology.
It's not an
But
ideology.
we have more
It is.
people that are dying
It's
because
an
they're not
idea that you were
allowed
born
to
in the wrong
express
body.
themselves. Look at the suicide rate of transmasculine folks is at 55%. And one of the factors that could save their lives is support, right? And so if we have folks that are...
Wait, is the suicide rate actually... Hold up. That's actually really crazy, y'all. 55%? That is really, really crazy. Hold up. Okay, so that's people who consider suicide. That's still extremely high, but if that was the actual rate, that would be really, really crazy. I mean, it is crazy already, just that they're considering it. Yeah.
suicide because they're not allowed to transition. How do we fix that? If
I
you're telling me
think
the
the
transition
first
for
thing-
children or minors is something that shouldn't be done.
The first here, I am very sensitive to this subject, as I've been the person who has had to talk people off the ledge when it comes to suicidality. The discussion around how we talk about suicide is a very dangerous one in this community. You know, my parents were told, you want a dead daughter or a living son. That's not an appropriate way to talk about that.
And I understand that, but
And
it is our transmasculine youth
I understand
that
that
are at the highest risk
I
of
understand that,
suicide.
and they deserve help. But we also need.
And for comparison, about 25% of adults age 18 to 24 consider. So the trans rate looks to be about double that. But I would have to diversify by age groups to find out an exact comparison.
Need to have a responsible conversation that is not using suicide as a means to push them down a pipeline before they have that comprehensive care.
So I have a question.
So, Aris, I know you've been.
In pause, I used to agree with that. Well, I think, we don't have to use suicide. We don't have to put this on the table all the time. Like, let's not go to the extreme. But is it really an extreme when the majority of trans people, because 55% is the majority, are having suicidal ideation? I actually don't think it's such an extreme to consider something like that when having conversations like this.
Yeah, no, because I have a big problem. Oh, yeah, no, so I'm not an interrupter. What I'm going to say is we insult children, our youth, so much by taking away their autonomy and their own agency over their own decisions and insulting that they know who they are. Like an adult knows who they are more than they do. No one knows who I am more than I do. And it's always been that way. I've always known who I was. I've never felt like I was in the wrong body. I just had to adjust my body. And so I think taking away kids' agency and the right to their own body is, it's anti-human.
I have a question.
I don't know whether or not to agree with this. I do think children aren't stupid. Children have the capacity to understand stuff. Children know when mommy and daddy are fighting in the other room and yelling at it. Like, children aren't stupid. Children can comprehend stuff. With that being said, I worry about how we look at something like autonomy and consent when we're thinking of children and their ability and capacity to make specifically long-term decisions. Again, something like puberty blockers, gender affirming care, I don't think it's such a big deal because it is largely temporary. People aren't on puberty blockers for like 15 years. If they are, that's weird. Probably, don't know. Don't cite me. But when we're looking at, there's so much new terminology. Puberty blockers, I think, does exactly what it sounds like. And then hormone therapy, I think, has to do more with making you present as more masculine or feminine, depending on what hormones you're taking. So giving you that, you need that big, deeper bass boosted voice. You want to do something like testosterone, that'll get you nice and good. You can put something like that in your side. I don't know if it's shot, I don't know if it's here, but it's do something that makes your voice a little bit deeper. If you want to present masculine to the world, but maybe you were born in the wrong body, you might want to take some testosterone. Or if you want to be a little softer, maybe you can take a little estrogen. I don't know. I'm not a doctor, y'all. I'm not a doctor. I'm not. But yeah, so there, terminology solved. Yes, got it. Love it. But yeah, I would maybe, is this something where we need to rethink something like autonomy? Because I do think children should have autonomy, but with that being said, I don't think children can consent. So balancing the line where you're giving a child, I personally think you should give a child as much autonomy as you can without them being able to consent. Does that make sense? Like, hopefully when I have children, they have choice of like what they're doing throughout the day, what type of structure they would like as far as how they do their homework. I don't want to be like a helicopter parent where I'm deciding every single thing for my child. I want them to have choice, even if it's something as small as what type of toys they play with, what they're eating for dinner, assuming they're getting their like calories and proteins and stuff through the week that they need. I want them to have as much autonomy as they can. But that does not mean I think minors can consent. So how we balance something like that in a situation like this where a minor has to consent specifically to the surgical aspect, because again, the puberty blockers and hormones I don't really care about. But yeah, how children consent to that long term. I'm not questioning whether or not to speak to her directly. I'm not questioning whether or not a child has is stupid, right? And doesn't know what they are or who they are, or something like that. What I'm questioning is the ability to make a decision that is very, very long term. Yeah.
Do you believe minors should be able to get tattoos or plastic surgery or consent to the list of other?
Hold on.
I understand it.
Again, I don't consider this anything like eating ice cream or I've never heard a doctor prescribe a tattoo to somebody. Maybe I live in the wrong part of the world, but I try to separate medical stuff from a tattoo.
They are different things, but to what level to what level do we give children bodily autonomy over everything they do? Because here's the thing, children need barriers in childhood development. You need barriers, and they need a safe way to push against those barriers. And I worry with the current medical system that instead of giving them a safe way to express themselves and push against barriers, we have taken some of those barriers away. And that is why you see more detransitioners, because those barriers have been lifted.
Yeah, they're not just doling out surgeries for children. That's not happening.
I had a letter from a therapist in a single visit at the gender clinic office.
And that was abuse from that therapist who did not psychoanalyze the rest of your issues.
Right, and that shouldn't.
Because your issues weren't being trans. There were a lot of other issues that you're
I have a
addressing right
diagnosis
now.
of gender dysphoria.
And you shouldn't. You were misdiagnosed.
No, I haven't.
Yeah, you got to get a second opinion, honey.
And how was I supposed to do that when my parents were told
That's
that I
not
would
your
kill
fault.
myself?
But your parents,
Their biggest crime in all this was trusting a medical system that they thought would help me, and the professionals apparently not doing the right thing here.
I understand, but your parents were responsible for the decisions that were made on your behalf.
I think that what this really highlights is the importance of you sharing your story, because what it shows is that you can't jump into these transitions, and you shouldn't listen to these doctors that push you to transition just because you're feeling a certain way.
Social media brainwash.
Yeah, I don't want to be dismissive of her story, but it is important to remember that's anecdotal. With that being said, I did say earlier, the American healthcare system is what it is. Like, I think it's really, really trash. At least compared to, I have Canadian friends. I have no idea what's going on in Canada, but it sounds like really, really awesome. She going to the hospital like 3-4 times a month. I'm like, you don't have worry about missing work. You don't have worry about paying an extremely high hospital bill. No, the hospital is free. And once your job knows you're sick, they have to give you paid leave, at least this much a month. What? Y'all, the way my boss calls me while I'm on my deathbed with COVID, that's tough. Are you going to be able to make it in Monday? We really need you. Yeah, no, Canada sounds really, really good. So I do worry about something like how transitioning looks in America specifically, because of what I consider to be a poor healthcare system that could use a lot of improvement. But this isn't an issue with transitioning. This is an issue with the healthcare system. I wouldn't stop people from getting like surgery for breast cancer or something like that because of the healthcare system. I wouldn't discourage people from doing that. I would encourage us to improve the healthcare system so that you don't get someone who doesn't have breast cancer accidentally going to the doctor, giving them a mastectomy. So, yeah.
Cautious teens to believe that they're trans.
I have to agree on that one. Like, there's this thing about it.
My bad. I'm supposed to be answering the questions before they do. Does social media brainwashes teens to believe they are trans? No. I don't even know how to retort that. I don't know what that means. Again, we used to see Bugs Bunny kissing men on TV, and that didn't affect us. I mean, I've made the argument here before publicly, and I will continue to make and defend the argument that giving the homie's head is not gay. So I wouldn't say that anything like watching men kissing on TV has affected someone like me, because I'm clearly just not affected by it. So, yeah.
Right. Like, yeah, there's this play that they have.
I don't think that it necessarily brainwashes children, but I think there are a lot of people who get into being queer or trans because it's trendy. And I know that's a really controversial statement to make.
Is that actually, like, do people actually do that? Are people actually, I identify as a woman. Why? Oh, all my friends are doing it. So yeah, I just want, like, really? Do people actually do that? Like, I don't know. That feels facetious to me, but you know, they're the trans people. So I'm just here to listen. Also, welcome, Kenny. Hello. I didn't see you were in the chat, but here you are. Here you are in paper tape.
As a trans person, but I've seen it, I've experienced it. And I also find that social media, especially apps like TikTok, give a lot of these kids so much misinformation and lead to people thinking they're trans when there are much deeper issues and everyone just wants to belong and find an identity, especially when they're young. You know?
I think brainwash is such a strong
that's a
word
very
to use
aggressive
there
word.
when it's
That's why I hesitated to step forward.
And that's why I would step in and actually say it's more so of like a social contagion.
Yeah.
What got me to transition in the first place was social media. It had a grasp on me that there could be something else out in the world for me during that discovery. And I played it to the fullest 100%. I even passed as a female for a good, what was it, 6 years out of the 7 that I was a transition. And later down the road, I went and paid out of pocket and talked to just a regular therapist. And she made me start questioning my own existence in a way, what I can do as a human being, not just as, a male or a female, but what can I contribute to the society? And it made me open up to maybe I was born as a male, and it feels empowering to me.
Yeah, I mean,
Look, y'all, here's my hot take. If social media can convince you to be trans, I don't know what to tell you. I don't know what to tell you. I'll be polite. I just don't know what to tell you. This is not like, I don't think this is a reason to get rid of medical procedures like this. I think that social media might influence some people, specifically people with insecurity issues, to get cosmetic surgery to please people or to be more accepted or whatever, nose job, Brazilian butt or whatever. That doesn't mean I think these surgeries should go away. I think maybe we should rethink how we approach things like social media, how we build up security in oneself and our children and stuff like that. I don't necessarily think we have to get rid of the medical procedures to do that. So,
I was heavy on social media, like in my transition.
And hello, Tori and Alicia, welcome.
Tumblr, that was the place to be for sure. And everyone was talking about their transition from my experience, and everyone was talking about a lot of mental health issues, depression, and all of that. And it was kind of being trendy in that sense. Like when TikTok came out, like that was like a whole nother world. And the biggest thing that I found with that is like they weren't saying a lot of the negative things that were happening in their transition. There was always like a positive outlook on it, like I'm being who I need to be, like this is great.
The ticket to your happiness.
Yeah, and I like so much on social media. Like I made a documentary on my transition, and I really went into depth of like a lot of my depression that I dealt with on that, and I didn't find anyone talking about that.
I personally didn't think I was trans till I saw earlier trans YouTubers. Before I was just gender bending man. And for sure, I also feel like comparing yourself on social media to other people that are more beautiful and successful will create dysphoria of some kind.
Yeah,
and some people
it will affect your self-image for sure.
Because we see all those beautiful trans women that are all dolled up or had every possible plastic surgery they could ever get. You're gonna feel dysphoria. You're gonna be like, I don't look like that.
And that's in general, though. You know what I mean? Whether you're cis or trans, everyone is.
Social media has
dealing
such
with that.
it has such a bad impact on
Actors,
mental
I wanted to be that muscular dude, and I wanted to do that. So yeah,
it is such a bad, like well-documented bad impact on people's like sense of self and mental health. And so,
but I also really quickly just want to say, like, I don't want people to think that like social media is turning people trans.
Yeah, we agree with that.
All right, can the disagreeer step forward?
Yeah, okay, so my thoughts on social media and everyone suddenly looking or being trans. I think whoever is leaning towards that or looking towards being trans for answers was always someone that felt that way or felt some type of way about their gender or their identity or the way they present themselves. They're just gonna go that way. I know plenty of femme twinks who went the muscle queen pipeline. It's not a rare occurrence. And so just experience your life, have fun, try not to take social media seriously because no one is advertising their failures. It's all fake.
Yeah, but I think it is also important to say that like social media is very, very effective. You know, I mean, I personally scroll on TikTok and I'm like, do I have OCD? Do I have autism? Like all these different things. And like it can suck you in. So it's important to be aware of those things.
I have a question for Samantha, since you have the largest platform here. Do you believe over the years you've inspired people to transition?
Yeah, I do. Yeah, I think that I've inspired people to believe that it's okay to be transgender, it's okay to express themselves, and that it's possible to live a happy and successful life.
How do you feel about the fact that some of them are going to regret the body modifications they got and going to have like...
I think that they should go to a doctor that is well-versed in gender care and have the appropriate analysis done beforehand. That's not my
And I feel like a lot of folks are going to social media looking for possibility models. They're
Just a quick pause. I didn't know that was Samantha Lux. I don't watch her videos, but I know she's a YouTuber, I think. How do you guys feel about that? The idea that, okay, it's not social media like convincing people to be trans or something like that, but it's more like, okay, these people already, they're already a little, and so Wade is giving Petty a mission. Wait, which Wade? Yeah, they're already a little, on the on the spectrum as far as the rainbow and the LGTB. Yeah, so they're already a little bit in that 1 foot in, and this exposure is just like what they need to get past their breaking point as far as inspiration, or like she said, oh, I just show people that it's okay to be out, or that it's okay to be trans, and maybe that inspires them to be openly whatever, but not necessarily I'm out here with the infamous LGBTQ plus agenda. Yeah.
Looking to see if they're okay. I know for me, when I was very young, looking to see if there were other people like me, because for a long time I thought that I was
The only one.
Exactly.
I thought I was the
right.
only one,
And
yeah.
so feeling like that, like suicide was a thing for me.
Me too.
Right. And so when I did see a possibility, Marty, when I did see somebody that looked like me, that put me in a space where I was like, I'm okay.
Sigh of relief.
Right.
I will say there's also a difference from like showing people that you can have a positive life and then telling them what to do.
Mhm.
So I think you on your channel are kind of like, hey, look what I was able to do and how this made me feel, versus like, you should do this because I did this.
Right.
So I
And
think,
also, I try my best to be very upfront
right,
about the
because
issues
we
of
can't help if
transition.
someone's
Exactly.
going to change their mind on something. Like that's inevitable.
Yeah.
We're humans.
And I have to jump
Yeah.
on one more thing with that. Like, if I'm watching her channel and
Again, that feels weird for her to be like, sorry, she said it a while ago, but she was like, how do you feel knowing that some of the people who watch you are going to transition? That feels really weird, partially because I think the percent of people who detransition after transitioning is really small, but also I think she was one of the people who were like, why are they trying to fearmonger by saying that your child's going to unalive themselves? But look, y'all, we looked up the rates. It's around a 55% rate of people who have ideation of unaliving themselves within the trans community specifically. So it doesn't seem like a stretch. It actually seems like every other person, like it seems like there's a high percent chance, like literally a majority. So I didn't like that presentation.
it inspires me to transition. I have been watching white straight men be president for years, and I've not wanted to be president once. So I don't identify with that. We're going to talk about brainwashing. Let's talk about where we see things every single day happening a certain way versus someone just living their life authentically.
People with gender dysphoria need therapy, not surgery.
Yeah, I'm gonna have to agree with that one.
I feel convinced.
Oh, my bad, answering the question before they do. Who is out here telling random people to transition? The LGTB agenda. I don't know what's on it, but I hear about it. People with gender dysphoria need therapy, not surgery. I think they need therapy. I wouldn't say they don't need surgery, but I would say they need therapy. I don't think this has to be a mutually exclusive, like one or the other thing. I remember the girl who was speaking earlier about the fact that she, with one diagnosis, she instantly mastectomy. Probably there could have been some therapy, and through that therapy, they might have discovered some stuff regarding the sexual trauma that she talked about from her childhood, as opposed to just like chopping her breast off. So yeah, I think therapy is good, especially when they just came up and spoke about people who might have different ideas regarding, maybe I'm non-binary, maybe I'm just a feminine presenting man, maybe I'm this or that, and not necessarily trans. So yeah, I think therapy will be good.
We all agree.
I think it's potentially both, though. I think everyone with gender dysphoria needs to go through a therapeutic process and mental health care before they make that choice for themselves.
Exactly.
I personally confuse a lot of my gender dysphoria for body dysmorphia, because no matter how much I feminize my body, till today I still don't feel comfortable in my own body. And now, like, looking among like members of trans community, I see that people keep on getting more and more surgeries. The surgeries are no longer affirming. You can just tell that this person is like struggling with body images. I was able to get on estrogen pretty quickly when I was 22, and my mental health declined afterwards. And I attributed it to being still in the wrong body, needing more body modification, end up getting sex reassignment surgery. I do believe that transition was sold to me as a hardware fix for my mental issues that were not addressed. I still struggle with internalized homophobia that pushed me into transition in the first place. I struggle with borderline personality disorder, body dysmorphia. I'm on a spectrum, I'm ADHD, and I have all those issues that were not helped, and I was still struggling with them after transition, and I still do. Overall, after a few years, I came to a conclusion that I was not in the wrong body, that I'm a gender non-conforming man, and I am a feminine man. That's what I am.
I don't.
Woo, that was a lot. So let me go back to a specific part. Yes, she was actually speaking about something that I think is interesting. I don't know how important it is, but body dysmorphia and gender dysmorphia are different, aren't they? So if you have gender dysmorphia, that doesn't necessarily mean you have body dysmorphia, and vice versa, as well as you could have both, or neither, depending on if you think you need gender dysphoria or body dysmorphia to be trans. But I do think that would be interesting to explore. I don't know to what extent, but yeah.
And I am a feminine man. That's what I am.
I don't know if you guys have.
Will you keep this live up? No, the LGTB already in my Gmail messaging me with complaints. Also, you guys can send all of your complaints right here, right to this email. Y'all send y'all complaints there. Just lay it on me. It's fine. I can handle it.
I've heard, but I've had a lot of binary trans people say that it's not a mental health issue. Like, if you're trans, and I know I don't agree with that. Like, I think there's a disconnect between the mind and the body. I guess I'm asking that. Like, do you think that it's a mental health disorder?
I don't think being transgender is a mental health disorder.
Right.
I think, gender incongruence is what they're referring to it as now. It's listed as a sexual health concern, but the gender dysphoria, which is the symptom that arises when you are transgender, is a mental health concern.
So maybe I'm thinking of, like, that's what I'm.
I personally feel like you don't need gender dysmorphia to be trans, or any mental anything to be the detransitioners just didn't get the help they truly needed. That's honestly what I believe. Therapy, it sounds like, would have benefited a lot of these people, and more extensive introspection before doing the procedure, because it is a big procedure. So you do want to be sure that you're being as thorough as possible before you make that decision. But dang, I forgot what I was going to say.
Right.
Yeah, which is the symptom that arises.
Oh yeah, I don't think you have to have dysmorphia to have it. I think you can have, like, for example, I think you can have issues with body image or insecurity without having body dysmorphia, or without, you know what I mean? Welcome, Invincible. You hopped in on our secret stream. You missed Dr. Umar. Be sure to go back to the front and catch that. It's very important. Nobody understood it, so you don't actually need to catch it. And welcome, Jamil. I saw you somewhere in here. Yep, there you are. Hello. But yeah, it's I think about it as something like that, to be maybe something more relatable, I guess, since most of my audience seems to be women. Something like breast cancer, I'm sure, is a diagnosis that has specific requirements, that you go to the doctor and you have inflamed breast tissue or breast pain or something like that, doesn't necessarily mean that you have breast cancer, right? So I think about trans issues kind of similarly to that you have body issues, or that you have issues with your gender. I don't think necessarily mean you have gender or body dysmorphia. I think those are symptoms. I think you should be able to get treatment without necessarily having a diagnosis. I just don't think having the symptoms necessarily means you have the diagnosis. But I could be wrong. I'm not a mental health specialist, so yeah.
Are transgender is a mental health concern.
So maybe I'm thinking of, like, that's what I'm trying to say then, in a sense.
And then once you are diagnosed with gender dysphoria, and I feel like this is kind of what the prompt is kind of hinting at, if you do have gender dysphoria, the only treatment for that is transition. Whether that be just a social transition, a medical transition, whatever transition fits you, that is the only way to heal your gender dysphoria. When I transitioned, the first thing my mom said to me was, "Can't you just be gay?" It hurt hearing that, but a big reason that she said that was she was afraid of what my dad would think. He's always been very, very conservative, very traditional, you could say. He would make comments about trans people, about gay people growing up. So I always knew that he wasn't necessarily accepting. So when it came down to me transitioning, I said to him, "I'm going to do this. Either you're going to be the dad that accepts me and supports me through it, or, like, goodbye." And he chose to support me, and we're closer than ever now.
And I think a lot of us go through medical transitions to easier.
I have the urge to call my dad right now on live and see what he would say if I'm like, "Dad, I think I'm a woman trapped in a man's body." I wonder what he would say. Like, I'm actually genuinely curious. Okay, let's save that for the Discord after the live. We'll end it after we're done with this video. This is the only thing I wanted to go through.
Social transition.
Yeah, definitely.
Right. And so a lot of our folks that do transition, and may detransition. Both experiences are valid, but also understanding that we're not mentally ill because we're trans, right? And I think that there should be a psychiatrist or someone within behavioral health to be able to say, okay, you're in the right frame of mind to make this decision. But I want to just make it very clear that trans people are not dealing with mental health because they're trans.
Absolutely.
I disagree. I feel like transgender is definitely, and elderly trans people afford for it to be classified as mental illness, so it's covered by insurance. Otherwise, why are you getting the surgeries to? But what if it's not a medical condition?
The dysphoria is a medical condition.
It is, but it's in your head. I would say that you have some kind of mental disorder if you're trying to mimic a stereotype of opposite sex.
Right, but it's not a mimic.
The treatment for this mental illness is to transition.
I have a question though, because
before the question, nope, lost it. Oh, nope, didn't lose it. So I do think I like what the Black gentleman said. I think he's been having absolute bangers all night because I think that's really overlooked, the idea of getting some type of therapy or counseling for long term. Well, I don't think it's overlooked. I actually think that's how it goes generally. Okay, my Wi-Fi signal was doing that weird thing. I got scared. But I think that's how it works generally. But as far as public discourse, I think people feel a little uncomfortable to say something like that. Maybe there should be therapy, counseling, and like evaluation and reevaluation as far as over a long period of time before something like this happens. Because there are people on this panel who have said, what I really needed was therapy, and what I really needed was to explore gender and my gender identity and my gender expression and how I'm being a man. He says he's a very feminine presenting man, and that's just who he is. So like, yeah, something like that I think can be absolutely dove into in therapy and in counseling. Yeah, importante.
I have a gender dysphoria diagnosis. I always have. But I'm still where I am today.
Can I give you my honest opinion? I think that you were probably misdiagnosed.
I don't think I was.
So you do
feel
have gender
dysphoria
dysphoria
in your body?
I certainly do now.
Yeah, me too.
Okay. Well, yeah.
I mean,
Because of the
you
changes that you
want
made.
to talk about now, but at the time,
At the time,
I genuinely believed I did. I thought it would save me. And then looking back, I realized that my dysphoria stemmed from some severe trauma that was not handled.
Yeah.
Right.
And that's why I think that mental health step is so important.
Yeah,
Because I've heard this from several other, mostly female detransitioners who we had some form of pretty bad trauma that spawned gender dysphoria symptoms.
Yeah.
And we can disagree about misdiagnosis something later, but it felt real at the time for me.
Yeah, no, I'm sure that I didn't mean
And
that.
no, I know.
Yeah.
And it's one of those things where that's where the mental health treatment really needs to come in and get to the root of that issue, because oftentimes, specifically with the detransitioners I've talked to, that was ignored. I came out to my parents in a mental health facility after telling the therapist that I thought I was transgender. And she told me we had to tell your parents so that way you can get the help you need. It led to me seeing a gender therapist who, honestly, the issues I was facing were never addressed. To this day, no one ever addressed the fact that I had severe trauma and exploitation going on as a young teenager. Instead, I was kind of just affirmed in, you believe this, and instead of even just a little pushback, it led me to the point where the very first medical intervention I ever had was a double mastectomy at 16. A few months after that, I started testosterone because it was the next step of what I was supposed to do.
God intended for there to be only two genders.
What God? No, I'm just playing. Father God, I repent in the name of Jesus. Let me stop playing out here in these YouTube streets before I get struck down. God intended for there to be only two genders. I don't think I, as a human, can fathom God and what he thinks, how he thinks, and why he thinks what he thinks. So I can only assume that whatever is going on is a part of God's plan, or I can assume that God just left the earth to do what it do, and we all have free will and so on and so forth. And God's just looking down at us like, okay, well, what's going on here? So, yeah. Oh. Hold up. Let me put a poll in the chat real quick. Very important. Very important. Really, really, really important, guys. Let's see if I can start it. Let me see if that does what I think it's supposed to do. Okay. I put a little something in the chat for y'all. I don't know how that works, or if that works how I think it's supposed to work. But I just want y'all to answer that in the best way that you can.
Yeah, you go first.
Okay, so as a Christian, I truly believe that God created male and female, and He created that throughout life, throughout the nature, throughout the wildlife, throughout Earth itself. And then the arguments come up into the ocean sides of, well, there's these asexual.
I was on mute. Lavender says, I really have a hard time believing a doctor would do that to a 16-year-old, and if so, they should lose their license. So I have a hard time thinking that something like this happens generally, but as a one-off instance, I tend to not, if somebody tells me something happened, even if I have my doubts, I don't argue with people's personal experiences because they are what they are. I would just point out that someone's personal experience isn't reflective of the data. But wasn't there, let me see, wasn't there someone named John Money? I think he was almost a pioneer sort of the gender reassignment surgery, and he was working on children due to, well, that's a different story for a different day. But he was doing some pretty heinous stuff with children and transitioning the children kind of against their will. So I don't believe it's impossible for something like this to happen. I just don't think it happens generally.
Actual creatures and stuff like that. Well, they were designed that way for a reason, and we humans were not designed to. We were designed to procreate and be able to bring life back to the earth, because we live and we die, we live and we die. It's a rotation of a process of life in itself, and it's its own journey. So I truly do believe that there is male and there is female, but I can respect people's choices. However, that's where I stand on it.
Well, I'm not Christian, but I do believe there's only two biological sexes. And
if anybody wants to come up for the answer to that question, they can. I will not be answering it if no one comes up. The question that I put in the chat.
Somehow that's how it's been designed, whether it's by higher power or by evolution. I do believe gender expression has been on a spectrum for centuries. So we do have references to people who've been cross-dressing. We have references to eunuchs. And as somebody who went through transition and detransition, when I started taking testosterone, it's almost like reminded me of my original blueprint. And I feel like I went against my original blueprint and I did a lot of damage to it. And I just cannot go back to who I was, because without my testicles, I'm just too far gone in my transition. So that's where I'm at.
Can I disagree? Step forward.
Yeah, we have historically spent more time focusing on and celebrating several genders. There are several different cultures throughout the world that celebrate the different genders, and to negate the fact that they exist and to negate their validity is just wrong.
There are as many intersex people as there are redheaded people on the planet. I can name 12 people at the top of my head who are born intersex. So to pretend like there's man and woman is just erasing an entire group of people. The God you speak of, the first God that intersex people get to meet, is the doctor, because it's up to their discretion of just what you're going to be when they mutilate their body to be a man or a woman, and that is not fair.
Right.
Right, and I think also gender and male and female is not the same thing.
Sex are different things.
Yeah, we're talking about gender, which is like gender identity, the social aspects to being a man or a woman. But male and female dictate sex, so like body parts.
I disagree with the having sex and gender being two different things.
Okay,
I believe them to be one.
Look, guys, I think the easiest way for me to understand something like this, and hopefully you guys too, is when I think about the difference between sex and gender, I'm thinking of sex from a very medical perspective, a very scientific perspective, a biological perspective. When I think about gender, this is like I walk down the street and bump into a woman and say, "Sorry, ma'am." I have not like checked in her pants to confirm that she's a woman. I haven't like asked her for her birth certificate to see what she was born as. I'm not her doctor or practicing physician. I just simply see how she presents herself to the world, and what she presents looks like what we call women, right? So I think gender has to do more with your expression of oneself. Well, that would be gender expression, but still, the way that we gender people based on how they look, right? I think I told you guys about it was a lesbian woman, a stud, who worked at my elementary, I think middle school. And I always used to be like, "Good morning, sir. Good morning, sir. Good morning, sir," because she has really short hair. She has short hair, and she's not particularly well. I don't know what well endowed is for women, so I'm gonna just say not well endowed, and she's not particularly shapely in the way that we think of women. So she looked like a man. That's why I said, "Hello, sir. Good morning, sir. How are you doing, sir?" every day, until one day she was like, "Actually, little bruh," because lesbian women just call you little bruh. I don't know why. I'm a man. I'm a woman, and I was like, "Oh, sorry, ma'am." So that's it. Like gender is literally made up, y'all. I'm going to assume some of y'all are men and some of y'all are women because of how y'all look. That's what I think about gender. When I think about sex, I'm going to be checking in your pants.
So I believe that they're the same. They're one and the same. They're not different, but we have evolutionary problems within the humanity, because I also see that there are intersex animals that do exist, and that's how they're born. But I also do believe that the initial design was for man and woman, and then somewhere along the way, viruses, mutations, diseases, plagues, all that type of stuff that we have in the world does play a part back onto the world itself. But I believe the initial intent was for God to create Adam and Eve, not Adam and Steve. I'm just going to say it.
That's homophobic.
I know it sounds homophobic, and I understand.
No, it is.
It's homophobic.
That's okay.
Homophobia made me transition, and that's what you're perpetuating right now. I grew up in a very
what is he talking about? So it sounds like he believes that intersex people exist because of, I guess, disease. So I don't know. The bubonic plague came along, and then people started popping up with both down there. I guess that's his theory. Period. Copyright theme is those. Trademark theme is those.
a homophobic family, and since I was a kid I was always brainwashed that gay is bad. My parents were not happy that I was naturally feminine. They always tried to make me more masculine. They tried to give me to masculine sports. I was mercilessly bullied at school for my femininity, constantly being told that I'm not a real man, that I'm a sissy. And when I came out to my parents as gay, they took me to therapists and tried to do pretty much conversion therapy on me, which failed.
So I don't believe in God. I believe in people that exist right in front of me, and I believe they should have the right to exist. And so
I'm not saying they don't have the right to exist. I'm
no,
just
but
saying,
I mean,
I'm just saying that was the
they weren't
initial
mistakes
intent.
either. They're just here the way you and I are here right now, and they are who they are, and we have to accept people as they are.
Right, and there are biological differences in trans folks. When we look at the brainstem, you know, our brainstems are different. Like that's
neurologically.
Right, neurologically, we're different.
Yeah,
and
male and female are different. Exactly.
Trans people are different.
Yes.
They've found a distinct.
I don't know why, but he looks like he could be a character in a Jordan Peele movie.
Difference in the
cortex.
There is no biomarker for trans. Some brain scan of some gay males is identical to female brain, but there is no biomarker for trans. Please don't spread misinformation.
There is science that hints towards it. It's just not confirmed.
No, there's research.
So therefore, it falls under the belief that there is, but there is no scientific fact to back that up. Which therefore, I believe that God's initial intent was to create male and female.
If God intended to, if God exists and in the way that you believe, and just intended to make male and female, then we wouldn't be sitting here. I believe in a higher power, right, of my own, and God is not this thing that creates rules and binary situations and laws that can be broken or really made. We're just all here. You know, like I was born in a female body, but I was never a girl. Never.
Tim Pool's son is right. We should listen to him, I think.
Ever. I can't explain why, but that is my truth. That is the fact. That is who I've always been. And there's no way that I'm going to look up at this guy at some guide and be like, oh yeah, you made me as a mistake.
Transitioning improved my sex life.
I don't know how to, I'm supposed to be answering the questions before they do. Look, guys, when it comes to me, as you guys know, I transitioned into a man when I was 17. And I think my sex life has improved a lot. Now, I do know that there are differences between a man transitioning to a woman and a woman transitioning to a man. from my understanding, a man transitioning to a woman is much better as far as, well, transitioning doesn't necessarily mean surgically, does it? It doesn't necessarily mean you have the reassignment, because I'm speaking specifically about the reassignment, because the little squeegee, not squeegee, pump up PP, I think is a lot more noticeable than turning your outie into an innie, personally. So, or at least based on, I wouldn't recommend y'all Google it, because I didn't like what I saw. So. No, wait. So y'all can't imagine y'all are in bed and the lights are low and purpley bisexual lighting, and you and dude's like, "You ready?" And then you hear that, or God forbid they have an air pump they hook up to it, or they get the what's the oh sorry what's the bicycle pump. Who's messaging at this hour? Get the old bicycle pump out.
Who wants to start?
I can start.
And I'm embarrassed.
Not to say my sex life was bad before, but I think transitioning and coming into my body and feeling comfortable in my skin allowed me to open up more and allowed me to not only be better in bed, but also explore what my sexuality looks like.
Yeah.
Being trans also like made sex really complicated for me too, because I'm a straight guy and I pass very well, and majority of the women that I've been with, I would have to eventually kind of like break it to them that I was trans and deal with a lot of rejection. And with somebody, I would never let girls touch me or see me without clothes on. Not having a penis made me feel inferior as a man, and that no one would want me, which is why I like rejected that part of myself and never even let it be loved. It took a lot of really accepting that people were going to accept me and be attracted to me and love me and want to give me pleasure regardless of what was in my pants. And that took a long time. It took until I was like, I think I was 21 when my ex-girlfriend and I started dating. From that point on, I realized that just letting someone love me was half the battle. And once I let that piece come into play, I mean, it changed my life.
Just a heads up too, guys, random interjection. We're going to have a video about trans women versus trans men, because apparently people find trans women a lot more problematic, with the theory being that men are problematic, and when they transition, they keep the same problematic ideas, but when women are non-problematic and when they transition, they don't. So I think that would be something to look at. I disagree, by the way. I just think it's like misogyny or something.
Do you want to go? You want to go?
Y'all can go. I'll go last.
I mean, so even though I detransitioned, in the beginning, especially when I was on hormones, like it increased my sex drive a lot. And there were a lot of aspects to that was like enjoyable to explore my fluidity for sure. I was able to date a lot of people. And I think like from detransitioning, it's like the opposite of that. Like my sex drive completely changed in a way that like, there's good aspects to not being horny 24/7. It helps me be more comfortable in my body, even with detransitioning, which sounds weird, but like having a trans male body was like so different from the norm. So like I had to accept certain parts of myself. So like even with detransitioning, it helped me accept like certain parts of myself that I don't have still.
Absolutely.
I did identify as a gay man before I transitioned. And like those relationships, I feel like I always kind of had like out of body experiences when we were like intimate. And even after I transitioned, before I had bottom surgery, I like just like the anxiety and the dysphoria that I would feel whenever I was intimate, or like a partner would try to be intimate with me, was just like crippling.
Yeah.
So then when I had surgery and I felt more affirmed in my body, and everything it feels right to me now, I'm finally able to have those intimate connections with people and form those deeper bonds. So it's really helped me a lot.
I'm so happy for you. That's amazing.
Thanks.
Yeah, of course.
When I came out as trans and I was 18, I moved to Miami, and it wasn't until I got my gender affirming surgeries where I was where I did like lose my virginity, because I was just not comfortable doing that. I was like, I'm not presenting in my best light, and I think I could get there.
Yeah, for me, I was like, I'm not fitting the role that I'm supposed to play in this
it felt weird,
absolutely.
and you also attract a different type of partner. Back in my day, I used to attract what we call a chaser versus someone who was genuinely attracted to the female form, which is someone who I wanted to, like, that's the role I felt. And so That's where I was comfortable. And now I'm comfortable in Virginia. Like Virginia, the T word did not exist. That was on Jerry Springer and Maury Povich, and that's where that stayed. no one was trans. And so I transitioned when I was about 18. I moved to Miami, and my joke is that I hit the tarmac and I said, I'm a woman, by the way. I remember I came out to my mom and I was super nervous because I'd come out as gay years and years before because that was so much easier. But when I came out, I remember my mom just asked if I was happy, if I was healthy, and if I was going to finish school because she had already paid for it. And I said yes.
W mom. Her mom is just like my boss is. Hey boss, I'm going through some transitions right now. You still gonna be able to make it to work on Monday? Hello CC Jazz, welcome. Hi, hello, hey. You missed Dr. Umar. I'm gonna keep telling y'all to go and watch this. Never mind, y'all just go to my TikTok. Y'all can find it there. I'm not gonna keep telling y'all to go to the beginning of this video.
Agree a step forward.
Transition definitely ruined my sex life. I was fine with my penis, but a year after estrogen, I felt like that part didn't belong on me anymore. So I went ahead and had sex reassignment surgery. After that, my sex drive was gone pretty much. I kept on having complications. I wasn't able to keep my neovagina open despite rigorous dilation. I had multiple revisions, including colon vaginoplasty. I just got some of my sex drive back last year when I started detransitioning with testosterone, but it's kind of traumatic to have male sex drive back without my penis. Also, I want to say that sexuality is fluid. My sexuality has definitely changed once I lost my testosterone. Before, I was strictly attracted to men. After I lost my testosterone, I was attracted to people in general because now I didn't have this like male sex drive, so I couldn't relate to men as much. You know, they wanted to have sex, but I just wanted to hold hands and cuddle. And now my body dysmorphia / actual gender dysphoria as well is worse than ever before. I do feel like I'm stuck in a surgically created body. I just don't think I've been really myself by trying to become a woman. Yeah, so transition did take a lot from me.
Let's be real.
That does sound traumatic, but not as traumatic as I feel after finding out that none of you have hit the like button. What's going on? I'm going to need you guys to hit the like button. Okay, terrible transition. Let's pretend that didn't happen actually.
Really hard. Yeah.
It's okay.
Can I ask you a question?
Yeah, sure.
If you had like found the results that you desired in the beginning, would you feel differently than you do now?
No, because I realized I just miss being a man. You know, I just miss being obsessed about sex and money. I don't want to do the whole emotional thing. And I'm talking about stereotypes, okay? So I regret, it's just like now I'm a medical patient for life. Also having sex drive back, it just reminds me that I lost all these years. I could have been having fun, whether it's chasers. I definitely have internalized homophobia. So internalized homophobia also pushed me into transition because I felt like chasers weren't good enough because I wanted to be a woman. I wanted to escape my homosexuality. But now I realize at the end of the day, I'm a gay man and I'm still living with internalized homophobia because therapists actually never helped me with that.
It's fascinating that you say that because I dated men and women, and in my transition, I felt like I had an internalized homophobia when I was with men because I didn't feel like a gay man.
Welcome, Jana Lee. Don't forget Umar. That's all.
And that was really hard for me to like figure out because I had had this journey for so long and a lot of sexual experiences were good, but I was on Grindr and I'm sleeping with these men. And
Jamil said, damn, obsessing about sex and money makes you a man. I think there is something to discuss there really early into the video. The same woman who just said that spoke about when trans people transition, they almost do a caricature of the gender that they're transitioning to. It's never like, I want to be, I guess, a soft feminine man. It seems like they want to present as the big, strong, muscular stereotype of a man. So maybe that will be an interesting discussion. Yeah.
They're treating me how I would want to be treated in a social setting, but I'm like, I was really masculine in my presentation, but I tended to be kind of feminine in my roles within sex. And so I think that also got me to realize that I wanted to detransition because it was a reflection of the relationships that I had. Like, to follow kind of some stereotypes, like I did miss being a woman in some of those like social settings, like with how women interacted with me, with how men interacted with me. Like, so yeah, that's heavily relatable to that for sure. So I do not regret my transition. Shocking, I know. That was like a really great time for me in the beginning. I really was able to explore and express myself in ways that I could not have done without hormones and surgery. I learned so much about how people treat people based on gender and looks in general. I feel like I would not be the person, especially the confidence and security that I have within myself if I didn't transition as presenting as a woman in this world. My dynamic with men in general is so much different. I mean, I was very insecure, very submissive, very quiet. And now I'm able to speak up for myself because of that.
Yeah, I was actually gonna say, during my transition, I didn't actually have a high sex drive from the hormones. And ever since I came back, my sex drive has been higher ever since. And I think it's because I'm no longer on the estrogen. My testosterone levels are increased after I changed back to being who I was.
Yes, look at this sex demon. He screams sex appeal. Let's look at him for a little bit. Just screams sex appeal.
Originally born as, and it also kind of opened up my eyes to say, maybe I wasn't really a female. This is probably what I would like my future spouse to have, to look upon it. And I'm proud that I actually have that sex drive back again, because I felt like I lost it for a long time.
Yes, King.
The LGBTQ plus community is not as accepting as they claim.
I'm gonna say, yeah. Well, I don't know how much they claim to be. Like, I think they're going to discuss it here, but if you transition, let me see. I think one of them says, well, let me let them talk, actually.
Musical chairs.
Musical chairs?
Yeah. I'm embarrassed to agree. That's true information.
There's still so much transphobia within the LGBT people in the LGBT community that hasn't been addressed yet.
Shoot, there's transphobia within trans people.
Absolutely. When I was transitioning in high school, I searched for acceptance from the cis hetero world. And now I feel like I'm doing the opposite and searching for acceptance from my own community half the time. Like when I was in college, the queer community on my campus hated me because I did like heteronormative like guy stuff. I played lacrosse. I was in a frat, but like I wasn't that guy, I guess, that they had in their head. And every time I would go to the LGBT club meetings, I would get like they would stare into my soul. Like I was just this awful thing. And it's always just made me feel invisible and small in whatever space I'm in. And I find that just really disheartening.
And it happens in a lot of other cultures and communities as well too. So
it's funny that
just happens.
You mentioned like the transitioning in high school part and like that shift from, you know, searching for acceptance outside and then turning around and then having to search for acceptance within the community.
Yeah.
Because I did notice that when I was still living as a trans man, when, you know, when I passed really well, all of a sudden it was like I wasn't welcome in these spaces anymore until they knew. And then you get that icky feeling of like, you only want me here because of that.
Yeah, like,
and you know, now I have the D-trans aspect where no community wants me. No one. Like I'm still part of the I'm part of the LGB part, but I've lost people that I thought they liked me for me and it didn't matter what I was.
Right.
But then all of a sudden detransitioning was the thing that I've been called a traitor.
Yeah, me too.
You know, me too. They don't want me. The rest of the world doesn't want me.
That's not true. That's not true.
I discussed something like this with a friend before. Like look at some of there's a policing of safe spaces for women, safe spaces for LGBT. They spoke about the transphobia that the LGB part of the LGBTQ has. There's literally actually one of the videos I showed y'all was a gay black man earlier in the video who was like, we need to separate the LGB from the TQ plus. They're crazy. It's really interesting because he makes the exact same argument that a conservative, for example, will make against the LGB part of the community. So it's like this really, really weird. It's like really weird to see. I do agree there is transphobia within the community, and even in the TQ plus part of the community, there is transphobia there as well. But me and my friend discussed some of the ideas that they're speaking about now regarding, let's say you have a group for women who have survived SA. Some of these individuals walking into your group who identify as woman, I think that's something a lot of women might not feel comfortable with and they might be triggered by. I'm not going to let y'all know the conclusion of our conversation, which I thought was interesting. We can, I guess, speak about that in a different video. But I mean, that was something to think about. I also worry about what that looks like for a woman, for example, with what's it called? Hirsutism, something like that, where women like will grow. It's not PCOS. Where women will grow like excessive facial hair or mustaches, beards, and stuff like that, for example, or hair in a male pattern, right? Like a hairy chest or arms or legs. I like, what does life look like for people like that who might be discriminated against because people think they're trans, for example, and they might not be able to have access in a safe way that they feel like they should have access to spaces like that. Hello, LB. Welcome. Good evening.
Hello.
What say you?
I just wanted to say hi. You seemed like you wanted company.
Are you here to ask about God and the fruitcake?
Sure. Yeah.
Why doesn't God like fruitcake?
Lies. God loves fruitcake and all the fruitcakes.
Why doesn't God like fruitcake?
Because it reminds him of himself.
Because he doesn't
It's like
exist.
looking in a mirror.
Because he doesn't exist.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Sure. If that's what you believe.
Yeah. All right. Thank you.
Feel that way.
Wait, no, I'm playing.
That was so mean. My feelings were hurt. I'm leaving. Bye.
If I haven't been smitten yet, I feel like it's coming before the end of the night. I'm gonna make sure to repent. Well, she left. I didn't kick her. I'm gonna make sure to repent, y'all, tonight, tomorrow, and that Sunday, especially on Sunday.
It feels really isolating. Like, this is not a club.
It's not,
you know, and it's not like a personality trait that I'm just picking up. And God forbid one day I change my mind. I won't, but like, or something happened where I have to detransition. I would hope that the people who stood by my side through everything else would still be there for me because of who I am, period. And not because of an effing label over my head.
And even when I transitioned, I dealt with the traitor to everyone. It was, you know, oh, you want to be a man in the patriarchy. And I was like, I get it. But also, yeah. But what I found very interesting was like this divide between trans men and trans women. When I first started doing a lot of advocacy, I was told that just being in the space, that I was taking up too much room, that I was taking up too much.
Wait, did I just miss him say, excuse me, did I just miss him say they were upset at him for becoming a man, transitioning from a woman to a man because he would now be able to benefit from male? Wait, did he say that actually? How do y'all feel about that? Because that's interesting. That's an interesting perspective.
Too much space and don't speak and all of these things. And I was like, wait a minute, but I'm trans too, right?
Yeah.
This community also belongs to us too. Right. So that was something that I grappled with for a while.
I hung out with a lot of gay women, and then when I transitioned, I definitely lost my space there, and that was like really hard for me to navigate because being shunned out of these female spaces for me was really hard and difficult. And then when I got to the trans male community, there was a lot of competition. Who looked the best, who passed the best, like that was very difficult.
Oh, yeah.
Shoot, fortunately I had a full beard, so it was like an easy, like, you know what I mean? Like, but still, like I heavily resonate with trans men still, and I definitely resonate with trans women from detransitioning and gender non-conforming people. So it's like, where do I belong?
Weird position to be in because it's like one community, like I said, doesn't really want you, but you don't fit in. You can't really go all the way back, so you don't fit in with the rest of them.
We just shouldn't have to categorize.
Yeah,
like, we shouldn't have to float around, wonder where we belong. Like,
we have the other detransitioners, but even then, we're all still vastly different individuals who have vastly different life experience, political views, religious beliefs.
Right.
You know,
you're not just
experience how we got about it.
Right.
In some ways, it's empowering because it feels like even though all this happened, you're being seen as an individual for almost the first time after, you know, spending my high school years being lumped in by both the LGBT community and the rest of the people in a category. But it's also very isolating because you don't have really that community support that other places get.
Bye.
Yeah.
Bye, y'all.
Thank you, guys.
Okay, that's the video. So much is asked for people outside of that community, yet they within the community have opposing views. Don't do that, because we can actually do that about any group that has appeared on Jubilee. We can do that about, they've had women on there who disagree, Black people, other areas of the LGBTQ community. So I feel like that you could do that with literally anybody. Oh, they had one with men too. And white people, yeah. I'm pretty sure they always do like a versus with certain groups, and the groups are always like in stark disagreement. Yeah.
guys so much.
I do
This was really awesome.
So Trentastic.
It's great to
Trantastic. There we go. Okay. I only played it so we could hear Trantastic. LB, questions, concerns, comments. You didn't like the joke.
What joke?
Why doesn't God like fruitcake?
No, I didn't like the way that you treated me, so I left because I was told that when I say I'm going to leave, I got to go. So I did that, and then I came back because I had something else to say.
What say you?
Okay, so in the comments I put, there's so much BTQIA phobia within the LG community, and I still stand by that. But then watching the video at the end, the little wrap up, it just made me feel like the detransitioners were genuinely confused. And I could understand people being like, what the hell, in all the different communities towards them. But then, like, I still think that there's general BTQIA phobia in the LG community. But I don't think that they're helping that by, like, claiming that when they're really just confused. But I also feel like I could be being really judgmental right now. So I don't know. I'm conflicted.
I think how a person experiences something is going to shape their worldview. I do agree. I don't think it's particularly good that they're I feel like they should have thought it out what they were saying a little bit more as far as the detransitioners, because it felt like a lot of what happened to me is what's happening to the whole community. Oh, these doctors just immediately, they gave me a surgery and there was no mental health evaluation or anything like that. And all of that, I think, is extremely concerning. And I don't want to take away from something like that. I don't want to take away from someone's personal experience, and I don't want to deny that their experience happened to them, because it did. Presumably. I don't know if they're lying or not. So I do think that's something that's important to take into consideration, and those are concerns that I think are legitimate and should be addressed. Well, let's make sure we're getting thorough therapy and counseling before something like this happens. Let's make sure we're getting a diagnosis of a legitimate mental illness, for example, gender dysphoria or body dysmorphia, and not necessarily just someone who's a little insecure or something like that. Like, I think it's important to be robust in something like that. And that's probably how I would talk to one of the individuals who detransitioned, aside from the man who was talking about God didn't make intersex, that came from the bubonic plague or COVID or something mutated us. No, not him.
Oh
But
my
the other
God.
people, yeah.
That is so ignorant. I'm sorry.
Yeah, if you remember Professor Raz actually, we talked about pushiness, specifically when it comes to Black women dating white men, which we've talked about on here before. Actually, yeah, me and her did a video on that on my channel. Yay, promo. Ooh, but we did a video on what it looks like for Black women to date within the community and what it looks like for them to date externally. And we had a private conversation that I won't go into too much, but we spoke about being considerate when looking at Black women who will not date white men for whatever reason, even though statistically speaking and everything that we covered, it's a benefit. You're removing yourself from a lot of unnecessary trauma, a lot of unnecessary unwanted pregnancy, financial, you're removing yourself from a lot of issues. But she told me that some people have like really specific trauma related to something like that. I can't sit here and you tell me that every white man that you've ever dated has been like toxic and trashy. And so you prefer not to date that race. And I can't invalidate that by saying, oh, well, statistically speaking, the data says that this is much more like I can't do that to someone's personal experience. I think that would be inappropriate. So the trans people on the panel, I think it's important to affirm their personal experience and not necessarily combat them with the data, but at least present the data around the ideas that they're talking about so that they're not pushing their
I don't know. Like, I feel like on a one-to-one basis, like if you're dealing with an individual person and you're having a one-on-one conversation, that you don't want to disregard somebody's experience. But I also think that when somebody's choosing to share their experience on a platform that affects thousands or possibly millions of people. I think it's important to like separate reality from like personal experience. I know that may seem a little bit harsh, but I think that like there's influence there, and it's not fair if you're still trying to figure out yourself to project that onto others and then claim that as a general experience.
I mean, maybe I'm
Like I
thinking
can't
of
go
them.
somewhere and speak for Black people generally. I could speak on my personal experience, but I'm not going to say this is what life is for all Black people because I lived as a Black woman. Like, no, like I could say this was my experience. And so, because like they're using their personal experience to justify action towards a mass of people.
I think I don't disagree with what you're saying. I just don't know how that would look practically. Would they say this is just my personal experience before everything that they said, and then it's fine?
I feel like like the argument being made should be made in fact, but you can share your personal experience as well. So like, for instance, if I said like, I don't know, since we're on sexuality, as a bisexual, I feel like I've been through XYZ, and I think that generally that's happening as well. And this is the data that supports that. Or like, I know that that's not the general experience, but it is important that some people have experiences like mine. Like, I feel like saying that type of thing would be different than just saying, this is my experience and this is what it is. So we should change this policy. Do you get what I mean?
Yeah, I mean, I don't think anyone presented any hard data in the video, so it sounds like everyone is speaking from personal opinion and experience. Those
Oh, yeah.
personal opinion
It
and
was Jubilee,
experience,
right?
yeah,
Yeah, they don't do facts.
their personal experience and anecdote may be based on research they've done in addition to just what they've experienced, but I didn't see anybody presenting data, so I don't know that I
You
can
can't hold
hold
them
the
to a standard.
huh?
Oh, I was just gonna say you can't hold them to a standard that nobody else is being held to. That makes sense.
With that being said, one of them presented, well, they didn't present data. They cited to data. They didn't cite where it's from or who did the research or anything. They just said, oh, I looked at studies, and these studies said this, and the detransitioner said the study said that. So if that's the way detransitioners are presenting their arguments, I wouldn't disagree with something like that. Or simply, it doesn't necessarily have to be a debate. They didn't title it like a debate. I don't know if I guess it's a versus. So, it's a middle ground. They're supposed to be finding middle ground. So I think it can be appropriate in these cases for one side to not have data. So if the detransitioners were to come and say, I'm very concerned about what this means for minors in the country, because when I went through this, this, mostly non-reversible process, I went through it incorrectly. My doctor was not doing what needed to be done. I didn't get the therapy that I needed. And it turned out I got something that I didn't need at all. What I actually needed was therapy and mental health help. That's something I think they can present without data. And then I'm going to look to the other side to be sure that they're presenting data and countering that, like I said
Yeah.
earlier. So like,
Well,
okay.
I agree that that's something they can present without data in the way that you just did it. That's not what happened.
Yeah. I mean, I don't know how it looks
I'm not trying to be
practically.
combative. I'm sorry. It's just
No,
like
no.
I feel like the way that it happened, and it could be editing, was just very like, this is how I feel, so this is how it should be. Instead of like, this was my experience, so I'm concerned about people like me, which is different.
Again, I don't know that I can agree just because everybody in this video is just looking for middle ground and presenting their arguments as this is what I went through. Even the people I agreed with weren't necessarily like presenting data. They were presenting more like personal arguments as opposed to like academic or medical or analytical type of arguments based in like science or analysis. So again, it sounds like they're just talking without any data in this video at all, aside from them citing something imaginary that nobody actually sourced. So I don't know that I can hold them to that standard, at least in this video. Yeah. Of course, I'm also biased towards my side, and I didn't like the Christian guy.
What's your side?
Hmm?
Oh, I said, what's your side?
Oh,
Which
y'all
side
know
are
I
you
believe
with?
that babies should be able to transition. I believe once you're a sperm, I think you should be able to transition into an egg if it's medically possible. Yeah, we're pro-trans
I don't think that's
extremists.
how biology works, friend.
Not yet.
Okay.
Your move, scientist. So since people are late, if that's all you have, let me see if I can pull up the Dr. Umar, because it's very urgent that we see what needs to be seen. Very, very urgent. Now I want you guys to look closely at the screen. I do have a TikTok. Y'all don't have to follow it, but you do have to watch this video with me now.
I'm telling you now. I have plans that I cannot share with you right now because the haters will sabotage me. I have plans that I cannot share with you right now because I'm telling you now. I have plans that I cannot share with you.
So wait, nobody understands this. Nobody understands what's on the screen. That's actually really, really crazy to me. Y'all don't understand at all. LB?
Yes. What's up?
So you don't understand what's going on the screen right now?
I think we're shopping on Amazon.
But what are we shopping? Look carefully at the screen. Y'all, my audience is making me real tired today because I feel I shouldn't have to explain what's going on.
That looks like an interesting outfit, though. Like, I'm not even gonna lie, with the spandex.
Okay, it's fine. It's fine.
Ooh, I like a tie. Okay, you got me real distracted. That one guy was at the bottom.
Who's
So
that
what's
one
happening
guy?
with the shopping cart?
So y'all are just oblivious. I feel like me and my audience don't even share. We don't even share the same humor, y'all.
Can we go back one more
That's so
time?
crazy
I
to
just
me.
want to see what I
Look.
missed.
Well, okay. I'm gonna put it in the Discord after this too.
I'm not in the Discord. I ran away.
I cannot share with you right now because the haters will sabotage me. I have plans that I cannot share with you right now because I'm telling you now. I have plans.
Wow, that is crazy. That's actually crazy. Yeah, well, we can talk about it in the Discord shortly after this for like 5 minutes.
I'm
But
sad.
I don't have more than that to give. With that being said, huh?
I said I'm sad because I'm not privy to that conversation. I ran away from the Discord.
Well, you might be privy to this one. Let's end on this.
We don't have to worry for. You said passport bros, we don't have to worry. Foreign women are grateful. Yes, they are, because your money is worth more wherever you go. They're grateful, that you spending money on them. You still spending money on a woman, either where you go. We can get flued out and get money spent on us right here in America. Okay, your Uber money go a long way south of the border. Your Uber money go a long way across Asia. But you have a good old time because, you need to feel good about yourself too sometimes. You can't just be working Uber and call center all your life and not getting no reward. So I commend Passport Brothers. I think y'all need to go where y'all money is valuable because it ain't valuable here. Sprinkle.
Sprinkle. 22-hour flight just to feel wanted. Go off, sir. Passport bros are hilarious. They have absolutely nothing to offer a woman and they know it. I'm crying because this is the truth. Sprinkle. She don't miss. Sprinkle. It ain't valuable here. She's my auntie in my head. he thought he did something with that one. That's my favorite line. Oh, you thought you did something. Uber money. Uber money.
Can you play the sprinkle sprinkle one more time?
Passport bro. So I commend Passport Brothers. I think y'all need to go where y'all money is valuable, because it ain't valuable here. Sprinkle, sprinkle. He said
sprinkle, sprinkle. Okay, yeah. And on a positive note, yeah, I think we can end with a sprinkle, sprinkle. With that being said, thank you everybody for coming. Make sure to leave a like on your way out. Subscribe if you haven't already. We will twerk in the Discord for like 2 minutes because I don't have time to twerk with y'all today, unfortunately. But I need y'all to understand what I put on the screen. I need y'all to. That phrase is so humbling. Yes, absolutely. The plans. Yeah, but thank you everybody for coming. Make sure to definitely don't follow me on TikTok because you probably won't like what you see over there. Good night, everybody. And thank you, LB, for coming up too.